I know my parents love me. Something, I don't know what they say right here. One day, hmm, I know now that I'm ready, yeah. Cause I finally heard them say, it's a different world, ooh, than where you come from. Yes, it is now, yeah. Here's our chance to make it. Hey, and if we focus on our goals, you can dish it, we can take it. Yeah. Please remember what you've been told. It's a different world. Hey, hey. It's a different world. Hey, than where you come from. Ooh, then where you come from. And they would freeze right there. That was a different world. This is not a different world. This is live from the Black House with your host, Darrell Douglas, Darrell K. Douglas, to be more specific. Did you miss me? Did you miss me? There were 2 weeks that we did not have this conversation. The first week last week there was a work event that held us from doing this. And the week before, I just needed a break. Have you ever just needed a break? Absolutely. I have never been one of those people who got the perfect attendance trophy at school or at work. Okay. Keep your Chick-fil-A gift certificate. I need a mental health day. And I take them. I play that because, first of all, I think of academic excellence. When I think of shea butter mixed with PhD. See, when I look over, it's Carisha sitting over here. And with Carisha, when you try to hold it in, that makes it worse. When I think of Luster's Pink Moisturizing Lotion. When I think of oxtails and macaroni and cheese with cornbread, I like to mix mine together. Right? I like the guest today is just, y'all are in for such a treat. So before we do these episodes, I usually ask the guest, the honored guest of the evening, their favorite sitcom theme. I don't know. This like, wait, what? Like, what is it? The reason why I do it is this. For those of y'all that watch this all the time, y'all know what time it is. But the easiest way to sort of prepare them for what we're gonna go into, which is this very casual, very thorough, very just informal conversation, is to do that and to start off with a theme song. Folks, our guest tonight, so many other titles, but the one that we're going to be talking about today is author of the book Hijacking Equity in the Fight for Justice. It is a practical guide to language liberation and leadership in a time of fear. I followed her for a while. She does amazing work. The one and only, to my right, your left, Dr. Aurelia Johnson. Welcome to the Black House.
Thank you so much for having me.
Yes. So before we get into this book, which is a book, y'all, like this is a book, tell us about Aurelia Johnson. Where are you from? Where's the origin story?
I am a girl from Sunnyside, Texas.
Sunnyside. Ebony Worthing?
Ebony Worthing High School, class of 2000.
Go Colts.
Go Colts.
Okay. And so tell us what it was like growing up in Sunnyside.
If I could set the scene for it, it smells like dill pickles and now laters. It sounds like the very first time we heard Something Be Screwed on 97.9 Box. It sounds like marching band practice into the wee evening. In the wee hours of the evening, it tastes like Frito pies.
Oh, yes.
It sounds like grandma sitting on the porch telling you to stay out of grown folks' business while she's snapping peas, talking to Nanny or Lily across the street.
Yeah. Is there a candy lady around?
Down the street, Miss Dorothy.
I love that. Absolutely. And so, who was young Aurelia?
Oh, she was wild. She was a girl who did not like combs or brushes. She ran down the street in her bare feet. She climbed trees.
Okay.
She read Langston Hughes. She studied with Conrad Johnson and the great Erwin Portis. She was in Summer Jazz Workshop at TSU.
Wow.
She played clarinet and baritone saxophone. She was a writer. She loved Malcolm as a kid.
I love that. You know, Conrad Johnson was the band director at Cashmere High School.
Yes.
And so clarinet and baritone saxophone.
Yep, absolutely.
Now I know how you probably ended up on clarinet because my brother is the band director at ELSIC.
Okay.
Alief ELSIC. And I have friends that are band directors, so they kind of let me know what goes into what instrument they put kids on. No offense to percussionists, right? But everybody else, and I'm laughing because Quincy was in the band too. Quincy was in the band at Willow Ridge. But a lot of times they try to put girls on flute or clarinet. Where does baritone saxophone come in?
My band director. So I was one of the first girl drum majors at Worthing, and it was a mandated thing for the girls to play baritone. So Samantha Watkins, who was a girl drum major before me, and myself and Felicia Spradley, we were drum majors. She played tenor sax, and I ended up playing baritone sax.
Wow. And so it was, I do remember, because one of my cousins went to Smiley. He played football, but I was always paying attention to the band. And I do remember Forrest Brook. Well, no, not Forrest Brook. Booker T. Washington always had girl drum majors. Like it was like almost like a rule, like steady 1, 2 or 1, 2, 3. Did you know you were going to be drum major your freshman year? Did you know you that was going to be one of your spots?
Yeah, I knew it. I knew that that's what I wanted because I saw Sam do it. Right. And so it was a thing that, girls couldn't. And so because I was rebellious and I'm still rebellious, when you tell me I can't do something, then I have to prove you wrong.
Wow. And so you go to Ebony Worthing. What happens next?
Then I get a full scholarship that did not pan out. I went to Prairie View, came home with a husband. Well, actually, I had the husband when I went to Prairie View, and came home with a daughter, and was just trying to figure it out. And so I lost my full scholarship.
Were you in the band at Prairie View?
No, I was not.
So you got an academic scholarship?
I did. I got an academic scholarship.
What made you stop band?
It was a lot of family dynamics that was happening at the time, and it just made me fall out of love with it. Like music was my love language. It was the way I created, I expressed myself, just like with writing. And then because of the pressures that was happening at home, I was just like, you know what, I'll give it up. And so I did.
Did you give it up before senior year, or did you give it up at the end of high school?
I gave it up going into my junior year.
Oh, wow.
I was drum major only 1 year. And then my junior year, I quit.
You were drum major your sophomore year?
Yeah.
Wow. And so you decide to give it up. I remember my younger brother, when he was like, I'm taking credit for it. I think he picked up an instrument because I played an instrument. I'm like 8 years older than him. And so he took it further. And I remember when he was in high school, I was 8 years older than him. So I'm like in my early 20s. And that was the first time that I understood, like, oh, like somebody's got to pick him up every day. And this band practice thing is like a thing. So mom gets them some, dad gets them some days. I got to do it. And so like really understanding that is a heavy lift.
It's a heavy lift.
And I remember my mom treating it as like not something that he's also invested in, but as like a privilege or like I'm doing this for you. And it's like, no, he's working too.
Yeah, so Portis, it was the battle of the Portises. So at one time, Erwin Portis was the band director at Worthing, and his brother was the band director at Kashmere. And it was really like who could create the better band.
Wow.
So we were, at band practice. School then started at 7:05. So we had band practice. We're in the band hall at 6:00 in the morning, 6:30 in the morning.
Yeah.
And we're there till 7:30, sometimes 8:00 at night, because we wanted to be the absolute best. Yeah.
And it takes so much time.
Absolutely.
I think when you see halftime, I was not on the field. There were a few times I was a senior, and Daryl Williams Lister sat me down a couple of times my senior year. Mm-hmm. He sat me down for homecoming. I was like, homecoming? He's like, you're not ready. Right? So I sat up there in the stands. And do you think that played a role in who you are today?
Absolutely. If it wasn't for the Linda Stigler's at from Welch Middle School, the Conrad Johnsons, the Bubba Thomases, the Gilbert Abears, the Erwin Portises, I don't think I would have been in a position when I got to Texas Southern to really understand what it means to sound like yourself. Because I also have to give credit to Dr. Thomas Freeman, because he was my debate coach.
Dr. Thomas Freeman. Yeah. We just lost him within the past. How many years ago was that?
It's been I moved back to Houston in 2020, so about 6 years.
So you leave Prairie View with child
and husband.
Mm-hmm. Now I want to see the rest of this series. Y'all ever watch a Netflix show? By the way, I've been watching Polygamist.
I have not started yet.
It's to the point now, and I'm at the episode where they're like, the Gomorrah women have really been doing a lot in this hospital. It's that episode where I shut it off. Because I'm like, first of all, I can't even follow this anymore. There are HIPAA rules. No doctor would ever. Y'all know the episode I'm talking about too. I'm like, see, I can give you a little bit of creative flexibility, but now I can't follow this storyline anymore. But this story, she grows up in Sunnyside with the Candy Lady.
Yeah.
She's in the band. Yeah. She becomes drum major sophomore year. Mm-hmm. She drops band. So now that's like a cliffhanger, because now it's like, is she going to drop out of school? Is she not going to, Because normally when band for me is why I finished high school. Like, it's the only reason I wanted to go. And I was skipping school. My mom was watching this too. My mom was watching. Mom, you know what time it is. You know what was going on. Well, she didn't at the time, but she knows now. And so I remember I would go for lunch though. I would go for lunch. So I was a senior. I took like art, band, Well, I registered myself my senior year. So they asked me, do you want to take a fourth year of science? And I was like, do I have to take a fourth year? It's like, no. It's like, no, ma'am. I remember Daryl Williams Lister, my band director, coming up to me in the lunch line. And he looked me dead in the eyes and he was like, you need to bring your ass to school. You need to start bringing your ass to school. And he stopped it there and he walked away. And I knew that meant, okay, Darrell, you're doing a lot. You need to come to school. So then you finish school, you end up at Prairie View, you leave. Where does TSU come in?
So my great grandmother died, and on her deathbed, I promised her that I was going to graduate from college. That was always her dream, for all her kids to be educated. Mm-hmm. And then I saw this commercial with Priscilla Slade on it, and it was like, TSU has open door policy. Mm-hmm. And I was like, I'm going to go. And so I ended up applying that day, doing my financial aid that day, getting my schedule for the fall, and I started TSU in 2004.
The one and only, your friend, wait, how did she say it? Your good old friend, author, advocate, well, author, she adds author now, but it was advocate, activist, author. Your good old buddy, Dr. Candace Matthews, says she's the truth. We did Truth to Power together.
We did.
Okay. My mom says I did not know. I had no clue. She said she did not know. Let me tell you something. I was hiding it. I was like, I would skip days here and there, and then it got to where there was like a famine.
Listen,
where I was like, I don't even think I can show my face around. I've been gone from school so long. If I show up, they're gonna be like, you got a lot of nerve. But no, that is absolutely true. So you go to TSU in 2004?
2004.
2004, you enroll.
Mm-hmm.
And
0.5 GPA.
What?
0.5.
0.5. She not even. Okay. The doctor right?
Mm-hmm.
Barely got a pulse.
Barely.
Academic pulse. Barely have an academic 0.5. I didn't even think that could be a thing. So what do they do? Do they do like a Control-Alt-Delete? Do you got to go get a new social security number or ITIN? And what the scammers do?
You got to start over.
You gotta start over. Use your sister name. And so you enroll. What is your major and how many years of that gap was it between the time that you left and the time that you enrolled again?
I got to probably the summer 2000. I graduated in June, got married in August, was enrolled in the fall, and then had my daughter 2002. Went back, was sitting in a chemistry class in the summer school with my infant, and then it's just trying to figure it out. I didn't know who I was. I was trying to figure that thing out.
What does your support system look like at this time? Because I'm looking at you're married, but you have a child,
Mm-hmm.
and that is a heavy lift. Mm-hmm. What does that look like? Because are you working at the same time while you're going to school, or?
Yeah, I was, working service merchandise or Target or something that's
Antonio, we're about to experience a lunar eclipse.
Every time.
A lunar eclipse. So you're at Texas Southern University. Mm-hmm. You have your daughter.
Yep.
What is that like being a non-traditional student? Because there are a lot of people who go back to school, mm-hmm. and it looks different for everyone. Mm-hmm. What was that like looking back at it?
My daughter was in SGA meetings. I pledged with my daughter. I was at debate practice with my daughter. I was at homecoming with my daughter. My daughter had a bachelor's degree before she got out of elementary school.
Wow. Mm-hmm. So, and you didn't do band at TSU?
I did not. I was diehard SGA.
You could not have possibly, because it's almost like, especially at HBCUs, band is life.
It is.
I don't even think they could be part of anything else because of how much time that it takes.
Yeah, it was like that with the debate team.
Mm-hmm.
It took up a lot of our time, mm-hmm. and I was dedicated to it.
So, what made you choose SGA and debate?
I to be honest with you, debate chose me. This is not even hyperbolic. I was enrolled in Doc's class and didn't realize what it was until he walked in. So I was in his philosophy class. And then in philosophy class, he told us about Wednesday night evenings. Shout out to the debate team, still Wednesday night evenings. And I met with him. He gave me something. He said, read this, come back in a week. I went back in a week. I read it. And he said, you're on the team.
Wow. What was it like being on the debate team? Looking back.
Necessary. I needed it. It gives you pride when you can sit in the same space with the man who coached Barbara Jordan and Mickey Leland. It gives you a sense, it straightens your back out. Mm-hmm. When your assistant coach was one of his debate team members. You don't realize that Early Hutnall, who is our photographer, is the great Early Hutnall who studied under John Biggers. So there's a lot of history, there's a lot of inheritance of being a part of that team. There's a legacy there. And you have no choice but to want to be the best.
Mm-hmm.
because you don't want to let Doc down.
Mm-hmm.
You don't want to let yourself down.
And so, what was it like? So you go through TSU, you graduate.
I graduate 2008.
2008, you graduate,
Mhm.
and then
Go back and get my master's degree.
you go right back and get your master's degree.
Mhm.
Who encouraged you to get your master's degree?
I thought I needed it to teach English. So my first job was a teaching assistant at Yates. So I walked over to Yates High School and talked to then coach. Well, he was Principal Mumphrey. He heard about I was on the debate team, and he hired me right on the spot. So I became a teacher's assistant in special ed. I had my certification, and then I was like, oh, to be an English teacher, I need a master's degree. So I went back for English. I liked it a little bit, and then I was like, I don't know if that's really what I want to do. Maybe I want to be a psychologist. So I tried to get into the psychology department, but shout out to Gregory Maddox. He was like, you know what, go over and talk to Dr. Kenneth Jackson in sociology. I think that would be a good fit for you. So then sociology became my love.
Wow. Before we dive deeper, I know we have a couch over here. We have a couch over here, and we're joined by our two Robins. I was explaining earlier today. I was like, if I'm Howard Stern, we have two Robins today. The one and only Carisha Rogers, who is co-chair of the Progressive Caucus, is to my left, y'all's right, and Antonio Maldonado.
We don't know choice.
No, you gotta wiggle the cord a little bit so we make sure we get you say something.
Buenas noches.
There we go. Okay. Buenas noches. And so no, keep it near you just in case you want to say something. And then what are your thoughts hearing this story so far? You wrote a book. I haven't and we're going to get to the book, which is Hijacking Equity and the Fight for Justice. We're going to get eventually in some episode of this series, because that's what happens. Did y'all watch the one about the what was it, the one with the mother that killed the woman and took the baby out?
No.
You don't know what I'm talking about?
No.
It's like they start with it, so you know what happens, but you're watching like, at what point does that happen?
Right.
When does that happen? So we're gonna get to that. But any thoughts just so far?
No, I actually really enjoy your story. And it also just, hey, you're from the neighborhood. I appreciate that. And just learning the journey and learning what you wanted to do. Like, you're like, hey, I don't know if this is for me. And being able to navigate that and still get where you want to be.
I walked in late, but from what I just heard, I'm very impressed.
Yeah.
I'm a former SGA member at Houston Community College Southeast. I was the secretary there.
Yeah.
And that's what got me involved in politics.
Yeah. SGA. Shakira Dennis, one of my really good friends, was SGA president at Texas Southern University. Top Shelf was her moniker when she ran. And we're also going to be joined by someone who's in the lobby, okay, from Fort Bend. So we're gonna have some fun for the second half of this. But sociology. And what made you choose that?
It chose me. I didn't even know what the hell sociology was, honestly. I went and met with Dr. Jackson. We had a good conversation, and I was like, yep, this is what I want to do. So I went back to Dr. Maddox. He enrolled me in a master's degree program. And so then I had 2 children with me in class at Texas Southern getting a master's.
Dr. Matthews says Wendell King didn't play.
Not at all. Wendell was before me.
Play. And Dr. Candace says, why wasn't I invited to the show? Let me say something, Dr. Candace. You can sit right there anytime you want. And you got to bring the bag with the evidence and the hat and the belt.
And the hammer.
And the hammer.
Get the hammer.
And the hammer, right? Anytime. Because she has a very interesting story too. A lot of times I have to tell people, sometimes I'm very intentionally facetious on here. I will say something in order to cut through, right? And then I'll have people that are in my DMs that are like, why would you say that? Because to make you pay attention, right? Sometimes you got to do that. And she's doing a very good job of that. And I think if some people, Amber says, served as a senator at Lamar University, I think and this ties into sociology, as we think about the way that we communicate and like build community with each other, we have to look at the things that work, not the things that we want to work, and then we have to push back on the things that we don't want to exist. So you get your bachelor's, you go on to get your master's. Explain this, and then you were a non-traditional student,
Mhm.
and you have a daughter.
Mhm.
How does one juggle that?
I had shit to do.
Man, for real.
Yes.
Snap.
I mean, to be honest with you, you being in a band with Erwin Portis, he taught us the mantra: you got to be better than good, better than most, sometimes better than that.
Well,
Dr. Freeman's mantra was, what we do well, what we do well, what we do not do well, we do not do again. And my grandmother's mantra is, you're going to do it, you're going to do it right, or don't do it at all. And so that's what I lived by. So I didn't have any options about failing at that point. Because again, now I'm Doc's kid, right? I'm still sitting in the legacy of having Conrad Johnson as a teacher, you know what I mean? And then you're surrounded by, I had professors that did not allow me to miss class because I didn't have childcare. You bring the kids to class, I'll have snacks. You're going to get these degrees. They didn't give me a choice.
Do you, when you look back at your experience at Worthing, your experience at Texas Southern University and Prairie View, what's the difference that you see between what exists today and what was then? What's the missing ingredient?
I don't know if there is any. I don't. I think that when you go to an HBCU, there is a richness in it. There is an accountability that people have, a responsibility, there's an ownership that's there that professors take. And I think you just have to be receptive to that type of love, right? It's not ownership like possession, it's ownership like you belong to me. And so I'm going to provide you with all of the resources so you can be successful. Now, if you don't take advantage of those things, it's on you. But they give you every opportunity to be successful. And I just took it.
It's like you had a village.
I did. I absolutely did.
It's good. People believed in you.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
And so after you get your master's degree, did you become the English teacher that you wanted to be?
I did. I taught at Addicts Middle School. I taught at Sharpstown High School. I taught at GD Middle School. I taught at a bunch of different places. And I always taught at Title I schools. It was important for me to give back to the kids that look like me.
Right.
And then I moved to Dallas, taught at Skyline High School, which is
What took you to Dallas?
man.
Ooh.
Now we're gonna hear the real story.
So this wasn't the husband. This is
No, this is after.
This is after.
This is after.
Okay, don't blame Mr. Charlie. Mr. Charlie is just a man, and he's doing the best he can. Okay, so you end up moving. What year were you in Dallas?
2014, 2015.
So you moved to see. I was in Dallas in 2010, 2011. Right at 635 in Alpha, right by the Galleria. I lived there for like a year and a half. Texas Organizing Project threw me up there. I was organizing in Oak Cliff.
Okay.
And I mean, real community organizing. Like they put you through the ringer. You worked for Top 2, didn't you? They put you through the ringer, and then I get up there, and they're like, "This is where you're going to be organizing. This is Oak Cliff.
Yeah, South Dallas.
Go." And I'm like,
Yeah, be free.
I didn't know what to do. I went. I got my hair cut. I went to I forget the name of the soul food place. It's the soul food place that I went to. Something about heaven.
No.
Something about. Put it in the chat. Somebody knows what I'm talking about. Something. Glory Green. No, Glory Greens is the greens that kind of taste like they were cooked. That's not it. Somebody from Dallas.
Kind of tastes like they were cooked.
Put it in the chat somewhere on Lancaster, because I remember looking for it and being like, I'm looking for Lancaster.
Right.
And people been like,
Lancaster.
a couple of people were like, they didn't know what I was talking about.
Right.
And I'm like, and so this lady's like, oh, you mean Lancaster? Yeah. And I'm like, okay. But so yeah, so you moved to Dallas.
Sweet Georgia Browns.
There we go.
There you
See,
go.
Glory Green. I was close.
Yeah.
Right. Okay. So you moved to Dallas. You're teaching in Title I there. You don't have the PhD yet.
Nope. I am applying to get into PhD programs.
And you applied. Did you know you wanted to? Where did you? And by the way, where did you end up for your PhD program?
I went to Howard University.
you go to Howard.
Oh wow.
I thought it was gonna be somewhere local.
Yeah.
See, aren't y'all along for the show? Because see, now I gotta see the next season. Okay. Wow. So now Howard is in DC.
It is
You have a child?
2.
You have
Oh,
2
wow.
children that are what ages?
Oh, my son was that's 10 years ago. He's so 6.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
And your other child?
She was finishing the 8th grade.
Wow. What was that like? And how did you sort that? Like, what does that look like when you get accepted? And then what is the decision making? Because there could be somebody watching right now. Think of Tara Taylor. Tara Taylor just got her master's degree. She's working somewhere making some good money. She won't tell us where she worked, but she's working somewhere really good. They be flying her out everywhere. So Tara Taylor's out there. She, went to Purdue. She went to Purdue. Like, what is that thought process like? Because I think a lot of people, when they think about doing these big things, it's like, where do you even start? Like, not just getting accepted, but how do you organize all that?
I think for me, it was one, I was told to always reach out to the departments, right? So you want people to fund. This whole thing about. I reached out to a woman named Sandra Bims. I wrote my master's degree. I got my master's degree, wrote my master's thesis at Texas Southern. I was the first in our department in over a decade to write a master's thesis. And it was on how Black women perform gender and sexuality in poetry. So I was a slam poet. I was the 2005 slam champion of Houston, Texas. And so I used that to write my thesis. And then I was like, you know what? I want to do gender and sexuality. This is my thing. So I took to it like a fish takes to water. And Sandra Bims she did the Bims gender role inventory. She ended up dying. And I did not get accepted that first time in any program that I applied to. And I was like devastated. And I was like, I'm not taking no for an answer. And so then I applied to Howard. The day I got my acceptance letter into Howard University is the day I found out that my high school band director died. And so I was like, I quit my teaching job at GD Middle School. I had $3,000, packed up my children, drove 1,200 miles, and I moved to Bladensburg, Maryland.
Wow.
Wow, it's almost like I turned 40 in September this year. When I look back, I think about the fact that everything that's really worth something will cost something of you.
Mm-hmm.
And the cost is not clear. So it's not like you give me this much and this is what you will get. This is the cost and you do not know the result. It's roulette.
Absolutely.
You put 3,000 up, you might get 6. You might get womp, 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 right? But you give the 3,000 nonetheless. So you move. And what would you say was the hardest part of your postgraduate? So your master's, what was the hardest part about getting that master's degree? And what was the hardest part about the process of becoming Dr. Aurelia Jackson?
Cool. So I lost a lot during my dissertation process. I had 2 of my committee members die while I was getting my dissertation. Yeah. So Dr. Hampton died unexpectedly. I defended my proposal in October. Dr. Hampton died in November. And then that next April, Dr. Gomes ended up dying. So it was just even a fight to get through the process. And it was a fight to do the research that I wanted to do, which was on how state policy and law enforcement agency policy impacts how we identify transgender murder victims. And so nobody was talking about gender at that time. They damn sure weren't talking about transness, right? So I'm coming out of a historic space for sociologists. Like you're talking about giants come out of Howard, but they were all talking about race. They were talking about gender, but they weren't talking about gender identity. And so I was going against the grain, even trying to do that.
Wow.
Thank you for doing that.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you so much.
Yes. And so, I have friends who went through that dissertation process. From what I understand, the coursework is one thing, but there's something, it's almost like the military. Like everyone that I know that is went through that process has come out like, wow.
It's hazing.
Wow. That's what it seemed like. My friend Maisha, she would, every time I would talk to her, she'd be talking about this dissertation. I'm like, what is it, like a long book report? I mean,
It's a book.
It's
It's
a
a
book.
book.
Yes.
And you have to
Yes.
know everything. You have to become the expert.
Because
In
your
that
committee
space.
challenges you.
They challenge you
on
every step of
that.
the way.
And so when you were going through this process of getting I know you wanted to get the master's so you could be the English teacher.
Mhm.
What was the vision of after the PhD? What was that?
I wanted to teach college. So during that time, I was teaching at 2 universities. I was teaching at Bowie State University, shout out to the Bulldogs, and I was teaching at Trinity Washington University. And I was either teaching 5 classes, taking 4 classes, or vice versa. I was taking 5 classes and teaching 4 classes. And I had my children, and then I got married somewhere in the interim of that. So I had a whole spouse that was happening.
For those people that are listening, like what I'm realizing that's the common thread is that it's not supposed to be easy.
No, it wasn't.
It's not supposed to be easy. Like this, hearing you say it does not even sound realistic because it wasn't.
Mm-mm.
Wow. And so what was it like when you successfully defended your dissertation? And it was, who was there? Did you invite people? What was that like?
It was during COVID. So it was online.
Man.
Oh, this is a show. Netflix, listen.
I haven't been
Email
taken at this
me.
point.
I got her number because this is a show. This, and I will say with grieving people that were part of your process along the way,
Mhm.
this is wild.
Mhm.
It's during COVID.
Yeah.
So it's during COVID, you successfully defend, and then
I came back to take a job at juvenile probation. I became a GED teacher. And in the midst of that, I was like, I want to train. I want to train on gender. We got these kids that are coming in, and people really don't understand their identities. They don't think it's real. And shout out to Henry Gonzalez. So he created really this position for me as an equity training specialist. And so I became like the trainer in gender. And I created an allyship program for juvenile probation. And we did like this whole kind of certification process. And then it just went from there.
We just need to clone you. We need more people like you in the community, especially in the LGBT, GLBTQ plus IA community, because there's just not enough leaders, helping the next generation.
and allies.
There's not enough allies.
Yeah.
I like to call it the Lagatapaqua. Lagatapaqua.
Oh, I remember you talking. I was
Like
like,
a-
what?
Lagatapaqua. But you like, I'm just wowed because I was wowed before. And then there are these other pieces, these other layers that I didn't know, that I did not know. And so take us between there and the idea to write this book, Hijacking Equity and the Fight for Justice.
So things just progressed, like real talk. Like, so I became the equity training specialist. I became the program manager for the equity team. I was a co-lead of that. And then I became the racial disparities and fairness administrator for the Justice Administration Department. I brought Dr. Michael Eric Dyson to Houston. I did the inaugural Centering Disparities and Highlighting Fairness conference at Rice University. And so we had law enforcement agencies, community organizations, lawyers, everybody coming together to have this real conversation about what disparity meant. And then I went to work for a think tank. And so I became the equity senior program manager. And I was the director of the Witcher Yankee Network, which is focusing on Indigenous people and how they interface with the criminal justice system. And then got a call and I became the chief equity officer of Harris County. And in the midst of that, I started really looking at policy. I was working on a name and gender marker change clinic. until the state of Texas started acting crazy and shut that down. And so even trying to route people through Travis County to have their birth certificates and their identifying information to match who they are, that was another challenge. And so I just started paying attention to policy and really started studying policy at the state level, the local level. Was traveling across the country working with all these national organizations, and then the presidential election happened.
Wow. Dr. Candace Matthews said, I see you, Antonio Maldonado.
What did I do?
Dr. Matthews, I'm going to tell you, Dr. Matthews.
Don't put me on the list, Dr. Matthews.
He was scooting a little too much on this couch over here. I started to tell him, hey, you know, I don't know if we're going to be able to cover it if you break the couch over there. We play here. We have fun.
I hear you, but I can't see you. I'm blinded by that colorful shirt. All the colors of the rainbow.
We play here at the Black House. But like, no, I think that, you know, I just had a meeting the other day with a trans woman who wanted to meet with me because I meet with folks that want to start a nonprofit organization. And so she was at the Social Security office and she was like, I'm probably going to be a little late to the meeting. And so finally, when we meet, we're coming up with all these different potential ideas. And I'm like, the process that you're going through right now, that you're now becoming an expert in, I think a lot of times when people want to make a mark, they try to do the $1 million idea and sell it once, rather than finding the dollar idea and it affecting 1 million people.
Absolutely.
And so we sat there, we brainstormed, and we looked at what it could look like, what a clinic might look like. And that was just one of the things that we threw up against the wall. Another thing is, you were talking earlier, and you talked about poetry. I'm a fan of Tank and the Bangas.
Me too.
Okay. I got to show you. So, you know, they have this thing called Cameo. So me and my boo, we've seen Tank and the Bangas 3 times this year. So I got in New Orleans. We will drive to New Orleans. So I got Tank to do an encouraging message, right? Downloaded it, sent it, did the whole thing. But so Tank introduced me to Tiny Desk. And the first event that we went to in New Orleans, it was one of those like, $30, we'll let you know the location 24 hours before. And I'm like, hey, I mean, this could be at a football stadium. I don't care. I will go. And so we get there. The Uber stops. This is in front of somebody's house. So I'm like, you know, when you're in a different place, like if you put like West Belford versus Belford or North Luce.
Where she does the front porch?
It wasn't Nucci's front porch, but it was a porch thing, yes. So we go in. I kid you not, and this is January-ish, February-ish. She comes around the corner with king cake. It is like, and I'm like, words don't even come. I'm like, do you know who you are with king cake?
Absolutely.
But that experience was so great, and we're missing that. I'm also a fan of Jill Scott.
I saw her
Who isn't a fan of Jill Scott? I love
She'll be
her.
here in August. But here's the thing. So like what I like to do, I like to go on the on their websites, their respective websites, and I'll find a city to see the people that I want to see. Now, this is before she announced her latest album. And so she had one stop in Atlanta. So we went. It ended up being the HBCU Fest. So she only did like 2 songs. But I said all of that to say, I think Tank and Jill Scott are like one and the same, but different in their own way, and that they come from a spoken word. So when you hear their music, it's actually coming from here.
Absolutely. Right.
So Carlos Hernandez, who's the owner of the Mood Room. So the Mood Room is in Edo, and he was one of the TEDx speakers at TEDx Third Ward. And he is the brewer of a THC drink called Honeysuckle. Okay. Now I don't, right? But I do, but only because, and there's nothing against it, right? It just does nothing for me.
Right.
Almost like cigarettes. Like I tried cigarettes twice. Mom, you still watching? I tried cigarettes twice. Once in Austin and once somewhere else, because they were passing them around. I was like, and it did nothing. It did absolutely nothing for me. So smoking does nothing. But give me a seltzer or a couple of them, And it gives me a nice little sizzle, right? So I was telling, I'm bringing it back to the cross, y'all. I was telling Carlos, I was like, I would love to do a Tiny Desk-esque event where it's music, it's spoken word, it's right, because I think there's a release that we're not getting anymore because we don't go outside.
Mm-hmm.
We try to get it from here or from here, and it's supposed to be like this.
Absolutely.
And I think there's an exchange that happens. It's not only for the viewer, it's for the artist too.
I mean, Ann Houston has some of the livest slam poets in the country.
Yes. And I didn't even know you did that too.
Yeah.
Right? So I said all that to say, we're going to do a pilot at the end of this month. The idea is for it to be sort of the event that artists want to be part of because the production value of the end product is going to be good. That's why people want to do TED and because of the network, but also because the people will want to come because it's going to be a curated experience. And you are just a dope human being. I was wild before, and now it's like, do you know who you are? Do you ever look in the mirror and be like, damn?
I'm getting there.
You're getting there. And so tell us about Hijacking Equity. Hijacking Equity in the Fight for Justice is a field guide for truth tellers and freedom builders standing in the line of fire in a political moment where equity has become rebranded as a threat. Dr. Aurelia Johnson exposes how language itself has been weaponized. With clarity and conviction, Johnson calls for a new framework, distributive justice, an approach that refuses neutrality, demands accountability, and rebuilds power where it was stolen.
Where can we get a copy of your book? Amazon?
Yes, you can get it from Amazon. You also get it from my website, aureliajohnson.com.
Another thing, we were talking about the book club. I don't know if we talked about the book club before, but we have a couple of dates at Match.
Okay.
And you know when Oprah did her Michelle Obama did her book, and when Tina Knowles did her book, they go on this tour and they do this, right? So I had a vision. Imagine this. There's an online component where it's a month-long book club. There are prompts, right? There's a message board. There's different things. Lord, don't let this be COVID. I'm kidding. You know, I turned 40 this year, so it's like anything goes wrong, I'm like, wait a minute, right? But there's an online component. Maybe there's 1 week where there's a lot. Could you not do that? We can hear that.
Oh,
we can hear it. You know, he done broke the thing. I didn't put a deposit down. We're not gonna get a deposit down.
Can't take people nowhere.
Can't take people nowhere. You good. We can hear you. Okay. So, and then maybe 1 week there's a live where the author reads a chapter and goes deeper.
Absolutely.
Or tells the extended version of that story. It culminates. Are y'all following me? It culminates in a live event at a theater where there's music, where there's a keynote from the author and a sit-down interview, but also a Q&A with the audience afterwards.
I think that's amazing.
I want you to be the first book that we do. I want you to be the first book that we do, because when you know how you think of a thing and you're like, but where's it going to be? Or who's going to be this is it. This is it at Match Theater. So tell us about the book.
Oh, child. So I start writing literally the day after the last presidential election. I thought I was going to write this think piece, right, about how perfection, even when you're perfect in your execution, that is not good enough. And then the Texas legislature is meeting. We are looking at explicit anti-DEI legislation. We are looking at explicit anti-DEI legislation across the country, as well as implicit. And so I am studying what is happening. I'm looking at the erasure of people. They're losing their jobs. They are losing ground. And I was like, what can we do about this? And the question across the country really was, what do we do? What's the strategy? What's the next thing? And that's how distributed justice came about. That's how my sociological mind, my poetic mind, my musical mind, all the creative mind all came together to say, okay, these are some of the questions that will, these are some of the answers that I can give to people that are asking these types of questions.
What's your favorite quote from your book?
That joy is revolutionary.
I love it. I love it.
I do. I love that too. I run Houston Justice, and when you're applying for grants and when you're working with different foundations and organizations, so much of the work feels like work.
Mm-hmm.
And what I started to notice was when we do community dinners, when we do game night, when we bring people together, we can get a lot of work done. And joy has to be a component of it. Like, you get way more done if you have a group of people and y'all all go to Papa Dough. There's no S on it. Black folks like to add an S to everything. Kroger's, Papa Dough's,
Barnes and Nobles.
Right. It's Papa Dough. Look it up. And so it's like, there was 1 year where, we had this workshop, and afterwards I was like, no, I want to take everybody out to eat, because when there's, the lights went out? Are we still on? Okay. The TV went away. It threw me off. But when people are sort of working in community, it's like there's an exponent on the output.
Absolutely.
So I absolutely love that. I'm going to have a little fun before you go. Favorite places growing up to eat in Sunnyside?
Just Oxtails, Miss Betty's. You can go to Miss Betty's and get egg rolls 2:00 in the morning. My grandmother's house.
Ooh,
most definitely.
Okay.
Yeah.
Favorite songs to play in the band?
Oh man, Watermelon Man.
Okay.
Genesis.
Ooh.
Killer Joe.
Okay. Mine would be, we played I Hear All I Do by Stevie Wonder in my sleep because of Mr. Daryl Williams Lister. It's not even a complicated song. I used to be in band practice. Like, man, we gotta do this measure again. So that Neck, I think I said Neck already.
Neck, absolutely.
Neck. I'm trying to think. I think those were the one. PYT
is a staple.
PYT is a staple. And we were modeled after Prairie View because he graduated from Prairie View. And I think, was Worthing modeled after any of the HBCUs?
Yeah, we had some assistant band directors. One was from Grambling. We had some come back from Southern. We had TSU, most definitely, that flavor. And then we had a lot of alumni come back from Prairie View.
Yes.
So we were kind of like an amalgamation of sounds.
Yes. Yeah. And TSU with Mr. Brian Simmons is doing it right now. I think and he's so young to be a band director. So
he is.
There's longevity.
Cold.
Oh, he is cold. And they're doing some amazing things. Do you have any questions for me?
Yeah, so how did this come about? I know you were TEDx Third Ward, right? And that is, I'm going to speak that for 26 myself. Right, but how did you come to the Black House and the podcast outside of the social justice work that you do?
So I used to lead communications for Texas Organizing Project, or TOP. And so when you're writing media advisories and when you're replying on behalf of the org, sometimes you get so deep in the weeds to where you can't simply explain something, right? So I would need to step away for a while. So I created this alternative place that was the Black House, where I was the president, right? And if I was having some people over and I was gonna make some trash can punch and we were gonna have Timmy Chans, I would stay. The state dinner is being planned, and rumors are, flurrying around the halls of power, blah, blah, blah. Like, I would be corny with it. And then it just picked up. So it's been like 14 years or so
Wow.
that I've been, if you look on my Facebook page and you do a search for the Black House, that's where it comes from. And so then this actual thing came from, I had a podcast before, but it was audio only. And then when Sheila Jackson Lee died, I knew that there was going to be a funeral and there was going to be a memorial. And if everybody can't give 3 minutes at your uncle's funeral, then you know you're not about to be able to express yourself there. And so I looked for a space because I wanted that to be the community's like release. And so I reached out here, we did it there, and then it just picked up and took off. And every Wednesday is really like a conversation with friends.
Mm-hmm.
We didn't do a whole lot of back and forth about talking points and this and that and blah, blah, blah. And it's inspiring, hopefully, other people to do this. And it's a really just casual thing to do. Yeah.
We got to say thank you, brother, for giving
Yes.
voice to community.
Thank you.
For giving space to community, for allowing people to come in as themselves.
Yes.
And to show up
Yes.
authentically, because you can't always do
You
that.
cannot. You go some places and they want to force you into this box
Mm-hmm.
where you have to adhere. And I think a lot of times the answer to that becomes go create the thing. Take the $3,000 and put your money where your mouth is. Because very often we have two choices. One choice is to stay in comfort, get this check, behave. The other option is, you know what? I believe so much in doing something else that I'm going to risk this in order to do that. But you can't do both.
Yeah.
You cannot serve two masters. So there comes a time where it feels really uncomfortable. And it's like, oh, my soul. Like I worked for TDC. I worked for Texas Department of Criminal Justice as a CO, as a sergeant, as a lieutenant. And I remember there was this one day where the field lieutenant was running late. But there has to be a lieutenant or above out there when they release the people to the folks to work in the fields. And they were like, can you do it? Because we're running late. We just need somebody at the back gate. He was on the way. And I'm standing there watching these people call the roll. And it's all these black men who look just like me and my uncle and my dad and my brother that are going out to literally till the fields.
Mm-hmm.
On land that was a plantation that very often was named after the plantation owner. The reason why they changed the name to Darrington and Clemens and these other places was because when Emancipation Proclamation occurred, they got a bailout. And the state bought the land from the slave owners and made the plantations literally prisons. So let that sink in. And I remember sitting there and it was like my heart started beating. And I couldn't like catch my breath because I was realizing the role that I was inadvertently playing
Mhm.
in this thing that was operating in this system. And so I was like, oh, gotta go. And it wasn't too long after that, I put in my 2 weeks. And my mom, who's probably still watching, yes, mom is watching. I told my mom, I was like, Mom, I had to sit her down. It's like, I'm gonna quit my job. Because she worked there too. We started at the same time, went through boot camp together. And she was like, you gonna quit your state job with benefits? And I just thought, like, is that the goal of life, to have a state job with benefits? Is that worth your freedom?
yeah.
Well, we can't forget that Antonio Maldonado did get to work for, he worked
If you
for
say I'ma sit on you.
State Representative Jelani Jones for all of 6 weeks, y'all. 6 weeks you lasted. And I'll admit,
6 long
Antonio, that was
weeks.
much longer than I thought you would. When I found out you were working for her, I was like, oh, we are in for a treat. I thought you were going to go live, but that ended very well. That ended very, very nicely.
It did end very well.
It ended very nicely. But Dr. Johnson, you are, as it says, you're a scholar, you're a strategist, and a public servant whose work sits at the intersection of language, liberation, and leadership. You are, wow, a strong drink.
I
You
appreciate
ever
that.
go and order something? You ever
Mhm.
order a drink and you be like, oh, that's nothing. Oh, well, whatever. And you go and it's a bartender back there who put something in it.
Oh, like you're going to the Red Rooster?
You go to the right. Exactly. Keep doing what you're doing. I look forward to making this the first book in our book club if you'll have us. And Yes. Any other questions before we
I think the last thing I'll say to people, and this is just coming from a very authentic place, do the thing. Do the thing that scares you. Do the thing that keeps you up at night. Do the thing that you think about every day. I know that this book is controversial. I had publishers come back to tell me that we believe in what you're doing. We respect what you're doing. We cannot publish that.
Wow.
So do it.
You actually got more of my interest because you said that.
Yeah, do it anyway.
Now I really want to read it.
Yeah.
I'm just telling you, I was just reading the what is it called in the beginning? The
Preface.
The preface. Yeah, the preface. And yeah, I got to like the second page, third page, and I was like, wow, I'm not even in the book yet. So again, y'all, it is called Hijacking Equity and the Fight for Justice. Go get it. There may be a book club coming that you want to be part of. Thank you so much,
Absolutely.
Dr. Johnson.
Thank you. I appreciate you.
I'm still waiting on the
Okay.
Darrell Douglas book.
I'm working on it. I'm working on the book. And you know, it's crazy because my mom, whenever I bring up the book, and mom is still watching, mom says, I'm not going to be embarrassed, Emma. You didn't say nothing. You know, I'm not having nothing to worry about. I told her this. I said, Mom, I want you to know this. That was not a consideration in writing the book. Any page of it. So whether you're embarrassed or not, I don't know. You're in it. You in it. Daddy in it. You know, everybody, grandpa. But thank you so much. This has been a treat.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
And we got some mighty clips in here. So
Thank you. Follow me on all social media platforms at Aurelia Johnson, PhD, and go to my website, AureliaJohnson.com, get the book, and come holler at us on September 21st.
September 21st at Match Theater.
Match Theater.
At Match Theater, yes. Okay, and we're gonna put all that because when I do clips, I'll put the book and I'll put the info at the bottom.
Perfect. Thank you
so much.
Thank
All
you.
right. So we have another guest that is out there that is going to come in. As y'all know, y'all could just there's another guest that is going to come in. No. You're gonna sit right here. Oh, she looked just like her ad stuff too. A lot of politicians don't. No, they don't. Let me tell you, it's been many a person whose push card I have picked up and been like, really? This is what we do. But as y'all know, there's been a lot going on. Antonio, you're in here. You're in here. As y'all know, there's been a lot going on in Fort Bend County. There was the whole issue with the county judge who was suspended, and then there was that and a lot of other issues going on in Fort Bend. We have a guest here. To my right, your left, the Honorable Brittany Morris. Welcome to the Black House.
Well, thank you for having me.
Yes. So, Antonio, you're not coming back in?
Yep.
What did he say? Oh, he walked out. Oh, he went to the restroom. Antonio has to use the restroom. But welcome to the Black House, and tell the folks who you are.
Okay. Well, my name is Brittany Morris. I'm a former judge in Harris County. I was a judge there. I'm a local attorney.
Mhm.
I practice primarily real estate and business-related litigation.
Okay.
I do mediation as well. I guess what is there to know?
That is it. So I want to know, I've always been curious.
Yes.
You run for office, you win your primary,
Mhm.
and then November rolls around and you're literally about to become a judge.
Yeah. So that was really, really interesting. So that was 2020. That was also very chaotic too. I don't think anybody expected me to win
Mhm.
the primary. After the primary happens, and I don't know, I'm a magnet for litigation, but that's
Okay.
a whole nother story. so then that happens. And I'm just like, oh, wow, maybe I stepped on some stuff people weren't ready for. But at that point, I already knew that I was an underdog. And so
Okay.
all I could do is present myself in the best way possible. always would joke and say, I didn't get here because of a beauty contest,
Mhm.
right?
Right.
I passed the bar the first time, like many of my colleagues,
Mhm.
many of the people who appeared before me. I'm competent, I'm capable, and I can show up. And when you have that target on your back, being young, Black, and brilliant, so I like to
Mhm.
think,
Mhm.
you have to work twice as hard to get half as much recognition
Mhm.
as your other counterpart.
Mhm.
And I knew that going onto the bench. I'm proud to say, I didn't get mandamus, I didn't get, overturned on my verdicts or anything like that. A lot of it had to do with a lot of the political fodder that existed there. But technically and substantively, I was very sound.
Mhm. What led to you being, or even deciding that like law would be your realm and where you would go?
Yeah. So, as a kid, I didn't know what I wanted to do. I wanted to do a lot of things. I was always inspired by TV and those sort of shows that really pull at your heartstrings. But I was avid connoisseur of reading and Black American history in particular. So reading about, the civil rights struggles and the bills that were passed in 64 and 65 and Thurgood Marshall and all these things. And then it was very inspiring. I love poetry, old school Nikki Giovanni, Langston Hughes, all these sorts of things. So at a very early age, I started doing oratory and extemporaneous, and in high school I did debate and all these sorts of things, moot court in college. And then, I think it was just a natural progression. But I will say, I did see Legally Blonde, and I was like, that right there.
You know who else said that? You know who else loves Legally Blonde?
Who?
Jolanda Jones.
Oh, wow.
She literally she's brought it up to
Isn't that because she's legally blonde?
Oh my god.
She is blonde.
She is blonde.
She is blonde.
She is blonde. But no, she's referenced that. She has referenced that. And so where'd you grow up?
Yeah, I grew up on the north side of Houston. And I guess let me qualify that, because you say north
Yeah,
side,
that is like
people
Which
think
side of the
like-
north side?
Yeah.
people think like Fifth Ward north
Yeah,
side,
yeah,
right?
yeah.
Take us
But
home.
more like spring champions.
okay,
So-
up there where that water cold and that
Yes.
grass green and they have resources.
So I grew up a product of the Klein School District. So yeah, I grew up in that area and went to Klein Forest. I went to UNT to start
Mhm.
my career, where I did moot court and that sort of thing. I guess-
UNT?
yes,
Okay, they have a really good music program.
they do. They absolutely do. So I went to UNT, transferred to U of H, and finished my undergrad in political science and history at U of H.
Nice. And then where'd you go for law school?
Texas Southern, Thurgood
Okay,
Marshall.
Thurgood Marshall School. Do you know James Douglas?
Yes, he did not teach me, but he taught in another section. But I do know who he is.
Okay. Excellent. And so I really want to know what happened in Fort Bend.
Spill the tea, baby.
Yeah, some
Spill the tea.
chaos over there.
happened? What you're allowed to say,
Okay,
you know.
don't put that on me.
What you're allowed to say. I mean, you and all of it, but there's a lot that seems to be going on in Fort Bend. Fort Bend used to be this sleepy, we
Yeah.
barely knew they were down there,
Mhm.
And then, Fort Bend was like actually Pearland is Brazoria, right?
Mhm.
They got a lot
Well,
going
no,
on over
there's
there
a portion
now.
that's Fort Bend.
There's a portion of Fort Pearland, but it was kind of like what you call like a bedroom county. Like people
Mhm.
worked here and then they kind of lived out there. When they got enough money to get one of those a master plan community, they would move out there. And then that's all that we knew about it. And then all of a sudden there's a lot of stuff that is going on. And so now that you're not elected,
Yeah.
what were some of the things that you've seen, and how did a lot of it come about?
I think one of the biggest things that we're seeing in Fort Bend County, we're almost at 1 million people in Fort Bend County.
Okay.
So I was talking to somebody the other day that moved to Fort Bend in the 80s, where there was 100,000 people. So they've seen exponential growth in the last, 30, 40 years or so. And I think because of that, they did not have, I would say, a political structure similar to that of Harris County.
Mhm.
And so now Fort Bend is really starting to pop up on the map as this sort of power force,
Mhm.
right? But they don't have this institutional machine, if you will.
Mhm.
So there's a vacuum of power in some ways, and there's a lot of, Fort Bend isn't blue. Harris County is decisively blue. Fort Bend is purple.
Mhm.
So depending
Mhm.
on the way the election goes and the wind blows, you really don't know how you're going to end up.
Mhm.
And so I think all of those things, it's a culmination.
Mhm.
But I will say things that attract people to Fort Bend, it's more affordable. So in 2017, 2018, I bought a house in Fort Bend. I bought a house in Richmond
Mhm.
because I can get a $200,000 house. You are
Mhm.
not going to find a house, 3 bedrooms, bedroom downstairs, master plan community for
Mhm.
200 anything in
Mhm.
2017, 2018 in
Right.
Houston,
Right.
unless you're, in a non-master plan community.
Mhm.
And so that attracted me. Ultimately, I didn't end up staying there. I went back to Harris County where all the happenings were, but
Mhm.
I kept it as a rental property for a while, and I had families move in there, individuals. So I think a lot of the master plan community, the school districts rate consistently well depending on where you live. And I
Mhm.
think it attracts a lot of people to that area. So people who are, middle income, lower middle income, you can get a decent house in a nice neighborhood and you can raise your kids there. So
Mhm.
that's why more and more people are coming to Fort Bend.
I ran into something similar. I lived in Detroit for 3 years. So I started buying property in Michigan in 2018. So I moved there in 2020 and I ended up running for a state rep and when they did redistricting, the way that they drew the district was very uh it was very like a very thin strip, right?
Mhm.
Long story short, I was getting a lot of flack in the beginning because people were saying he doesn't live there, he lives here. And I had to remind people, I would point it to a racial thing. I would say, do you think, is it because I'm black that you don't think that I can own more than one property? Right? There's because I'm black, or right, like those things do exist.
Yeah, they
So
coexist.
yes, I own there and I own here, right? And it just became, and then they started again, to your point, young, black, and brilliant. They were throwing things about he's from Texas. I can't be from Texas. I can't choose to move here. And I see y'all made me move back. I'm back in Texas, right?
Yeah, I think those things are not mutually exclusive, but
Right.
it's really sad that people use those technicalities or nuances.
Mhm.
And in Texas, it's been at least 40 years since anybody's been kicked off the ballot for residency.
Mhm.
It's just
And so explain that. So Dexter McCoy ends up running for county judge.
mhm.
So that opens up his seat,
Yeah.
which was precinct 4.
Yes.
And so you end up running. You end up in the lead. Were you in the lead for the
Yes.
on the general?
Yeah.
And then the person who was number 3 decides to sue
Mm-hmm.
by because of residency.
Right. Right.
And then that case is heard. You remain on the ballot.
Yes, it's a little more nuanced than that, but the way it came about, I never got sued. Ironically, they sued the Democratic Party chair. So imagine having a lawsuit about your residency and you're not even there. You're not in the courtroom. You don't have a lawyer. You didn't even know they had a trial date. And you get a call after they, are unsuccessful, like, hey, you might need to get a lawyer. Well, this would have been nice to know, before you had a trial or that you had a trial date. So there's a lot of nuances to that. So, of course, once I found out, I immediately lawyered up and we went to the Supreme Court. They issued a stay. And so that effectively allowed me to remain on the ballot for the runoff.
I would argue, because I looked at the results today, I would argue that cost you votes, because a lot of people don't hear the full story. They get the peripheral,
The headliner, yeah.
they get the headliner.
Yeah.
They're in line at HEB. What's the grocery store down there? They got HEB.
Yes, they
Yeah,
had
they got
HEBs on
HEBs
every
They're at
exit.
HEB and they're like, I heard this, I heard that.
Yes, but it was all orchestrated, in my opinion.
Mhm.
So this person who loses the race, 10 days after they lose, they want to say, hey, by the way, we don't think she lives here.
Mm.
And that was familiar to me because, like I said, I owned a house in Richmond, before 2017, 2018. I won the primary election in 2020, and the reverse happened to me.
Mhm.
They said, oh, she lives in Fort Bend. She doesn't live in Harris County.
Mhm.
Oh, wow.
So that
Oh, my
had
goodness.
to be litigated. So I'm like, I'm not a stranger. It's really when people don't think you're going to win and then you
Yes.
do, then they're like, wait.
Then they knock it out.
Let's
So
figure
now it's
out how
into
we can get her off the
technicalities,
ballot
yeah.
now.
Then they do it. Then
And-
they do it.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
that happened. And then not only did she file a lawsuit, sued the Democratic Party chair, not me. So again, I wasn't present for my own defense. I was none of this, no due process, none of this is happening. But then she immediately calls the news station. So less than 12 hours
Mhm.
later, you know, we're getting calls, my lawyer and I at this point, from Maya Shea, like, hey, can you do an interview? Sis, the ink isn't dry. Matter of fact, the order hadn't even been filed.
Wow.
So it's sort of like, okay, I could see what this is. Even if she doesn't win in the court of law, ultimately, she's going
That's
to play
out there.
this out in the court of
It's
public
earned media.
opinion.
It's
Right.
earned media. That,
Yeah. So
and
so-
she, yeah.
that then pushed me to, okay, now I have to hire a PR team, right, to correct this
Mhm.
narrative.
Mhm.
So people think, oh, she just moved to Fort Bend, when the reality was, if you look at the dates, Commissioner McCoy didn't decide to run for that seat till the last week in
Right.
December.
Right.
So how was this an orchestrated play
Mhm.
when I
Right.
have 2 days to file for this and all
Mhm.
this, you know, is happening, if he just barely decided
Right.
that he was going to run for this?
Right.
So there was no way it could have been orchestrated. In fact, I had been thinking about running for something in Fort Bend. I had moved back to Fort Bend at the end of 2024. I didn't know if I was going to do it, where I was going to
Mhm.
go. So, you know, I had already, you know, voter registration was changed. All
Mhm.
these things had already happened long before December of 2025.
Mhm.
And so it was just sort of this misnomer, but that's how sort of the media made it.
Right.
Right. Even I'd still own a townhouse in Houston.
Yeah.
And so they went to there, and one of my neighbors said, hey, these people came by and asked us
Wow.
this, and do we see you?
Wow.
She said, I see you coming and going. Yeah. Don't I have to
Right.
make it ready for the Airbnb people or
Right,
whoever stand
right.
there, you know, take out the trash, open the doors, all
Mhm.
these sorts of things. But, you know, they played it out in the court of public opinion. And then they went to the house that I lease. And so they're like, she owns this expensive house in Houston, and she owns this expensive house or rents this expensive house in Richmond, and all these sorts of things. And I was like, this is wild. You know,
Mhm.
Fort Bend typically isn't that. That was part and parcel some of the reason why I was like, you know, Harris County a little too hot for my blood.
Yeah,
Let me
yeah,
just go back
yeah.
to this sleepy town.
Mhm.
And it was amazing to sort of go through that sort of situation, and people coming up. I had my mom at the polls. They're like, oh, she doesn't live here. My mom's like, I just left her house. What do you mean? She lives here.
Wow.
and that's the narrative that people were
And
propagating.
it spreads fast. Well, how
Yeah.
does the old saying go? The lie has spread, you know, done a lap around the earth before the truth is had a chance to put the shoes on.
Yeah.
And I thought it was so ironic because once the Supreme Court ruled and issued the stay, we issued immediately a press release, and the news ran
didn't
it.
But they didn't want to cover it.
No,
No, they didn't cover it with the same.
Yes.
gravitas.
Yeah, same
Yes.
vigor.
They
Yeah.
say, oh yeah, here's a press release, and tonight at 10,
Exactly.
Dancing with the Stars,
Yeah,
right? So it's
yeah.
like, no, give me the same energy. Now go to her house,
Right.
you know?
Right.
And she was in third place. You know, you don't automatically get to the runoff, so that wouldn't have been it anyway. And you ran out of campaign contributions, so even if they did open it back up, you wouldn't have been in it.
Mhm.
Okay.
Mhm. I mean, that's exactly it. So correcting the narrative, trying to put the PR out there. It's like at one point I thought maybe I should do one of them MTV style cribs. Hey, welcome to my house. See how I'm
They
living.
didn't like that. I don't like that either. Because Christian Menefee did that. They ate him up. They was in the comments on here. It's like, well, they didn't like that at all.
I was like, how am I proving? How am I proving this? Right. So it's one of those things. It's hard to prove other than, you know, documents or this or that. But we
I
got
would
out
say-
there.
I would say, like, if it, like, just thinking from a calm's mind, and I would never vote for Trump, and I hate Trump, right? But I will say this: he is an entertainer.
Hmm.
Mhm.
P.T. Barnum, if I were you or advising you, somebody would have had to go in on the other side, because you need something just as powerful to be the reason why they're saying it.
I mean, there were a lot of reasons, but I think every time I've ever ran a campaign, I tried to run it as clean as possible.
Mhm.
I'm not trying to run on dirty tactics and this and that. And it was, again, nobody thought I was going to win. It was 7 people in that primary.
And for precinct 4 or
yeah.
for the judge?
No,
the
for
judge's race?
precinct 4, it was 7 people. So I came in
Wow.
first place out of 7 people. And I felt like the race
You have a really
was
good
fair.
name. You have a really good name. Like, listen, shout out to your parents. It's a very good name. You have a very, like, everybody knows a Brittany. Everybody knows a Brittany. Whether you're white, whether you're black, you know a Brittany, right? I'm a slave for you. You
Right?
can't deny it, right? And then everybody knows a Brittany that do hair. They go to Yates, right? Everybody knows a Brittany whose auntie is the candy lady.
Oh,
Right?
wow.
Everybody know a Brittany that's a soprano in the choir at Willer Avenue, right? Everybody knows a Brittany. And then your last name is Morris. That's indescript.
Yeah. Yeah.
So when in doubt, check,
Yeah.
right? So that is very good. So what we're gonna do now, we're gonna open it up to just politics in general. We're gonna do something a little different today. Apparently, there's another show that happens on Wednesdays, and they have a call-in. So they have a call-in. So Quincy, if you will, 346-200-9477. If you have a question for me, the Honorable Brittany Morris, Carisha Rogers, or Antonio Maldonado, I would be remiss if I didn't give it one shot. If I did not mention what is going on, it just happened an hour ago. We just had a situation where, let me go to it.
Brown Lives Matter.
Yes, Brown Lives Matter. Tuesday morning at 6:50 a.m., a 52-year-old man named Lorenzo Salgado Araujo was driving through Magnolia Park, doing what he did every morning for 30 years, picking up his crew to go build houses. He never made it. ICE agents in unmarked cars shot and killed him during a so-called traffic stop.
They murdered
And
him.
his own
Yep.
son watched it happen. Now the government has one story, his family has another. And here's the part that should bother every Houstonian. They're talking about not investigating it. The city is talking about not investigating it. And
Such a wonderful mayor.
We want to we want to touch this for a moment because I think there is a bigger issue here. We have now reached the point. We have reached the point where here in Houston, right? ICE has taken the life of someone. We do not know all the facts. And if it were up to me, every possible option as far as investigating this has to be exhausted. Carisha, thoughts?
Where do I begin? I mean, I think it's very simple. We cannot trust ICE at all. We saw the killing of Alex Peretti and Renee Good and a few others. Like, they killed almost 20 people since this whole thing has started, and they always come up with their version of events, which is very heavily fabricated. It's proven. And honestly, it's just extremely disgusting that we do need everybody in our city to step up, because what I want those ICE people to know is that we're not the other cities. We are coming after you. We're already protesting. Multiple organizations have released a press statement along with the Houston Progressive Caucus. Elected leaders are stepping up. This is not going to go away quietly. I will just say that for sure. ICE are cowards. I'll say that openly.
Antonio.
Agreed. I mean, in the old days, they used to say, oh, he was pulled over for DWB, driving while black, driving while brown. Now you can't even walk down the street without an ICE agent coming after you. As long as you're brown skinned or you have an accent. It's really sad. When I heard about this, I cried. I mean, because it hits close to home, because there are members in my family that live here in the United States that are undocumented. And it scares me that one day my uncle's going to get swooped up into ICE and deported to a country that he's never even been to. And he doesn't even know Spanish. He does a little bit, but, and it's sad. Or worse, he'll go get an attitude with them and cuss them out, and they'll kill him. I mean, and when I first saw this yesterday, I cried. I just that's how emotional I got. It's like, it's like George Floyd and so many other people. Like back in the day, what was it, Rodney King, when they had the riots? They're gonna keep fucking with us, and we're gonna end up tearing Houston and every other major fucking city up and burning it down to the ground until we get fucking justice.
You know, I'll say, I think at the end of the day, this is about humanity.
Mm-hmm.
This is at the core a human like issue. And it is inhumane to hunt people down, right?
And that's what they're doing.
Just because they look the part, they're not hunting down for actual like threats or to the society or anything. They're just like, you look brown enough, we'll pull up on you with
Yeah.
unmarked vehicles.
But I also think,
Mhm,
sorry
go
to
ahead.
interrupt,
Yeah,
this isn't limited to a brown thing.
No,
Right.
it's
Right.
not.
It's not.
They're going after Nigerians,
Yeah, they're going
Asians,
after anybody
Indians, South
who
Asians.
appears to not be American,
Yeah.
whatever that means.
and it's
White.
so vague. They can make it up any
White
anytime.
America.
Yeah.
Mhm.
And it's really, really sad. We're returning to the Jim Crow South, but
Yes.
it's
Exactly.
nationwide.
Right.
People are getting, drug out of their cars and assassinated, for lack of a better term. And this is not the America we've worked so hard to change. We have a torrid history in the past, and we worked to build that gap and make it better, but we're just regressing.
Mhm.
Yeah.
And so something has to be done. And I think we all need to play our part and not look at it as it's their problem.
Right.
Right.
Because when something happens to the Black community, we don't want them to look at it, well, that's a Black problem. It's not us or the Asian people or the Hispanic people. So we need to collectively get together and know this is, again, a human problem, a human issue. And all kinds of people, Jamaican, Nigerians, anybody from the diaspora of any country that doesn't appear quote unquote American, they're all subject for targets.
Absolutely.
I wish, to be honest with you, and I hope I don't offend anybody by my statements.
Okay.
But I'm going to be very me, very real, not political. I'm just going to be Antonio or Tony, not Antonio. Antonio's political. Tony is shut the fuck up and listen to what I got to say. I wish more Black people would have that type of attitude, because the truth is a lot of Black people don't think the way you they don't think the way you think. Oh, well, who cares? They think,
So if I were to jump in here, I would say I think that the sentiment works in both ways. I think that and it's Darrell talking.
Mhm.
I'm gonna say, when at the height of, and this is why I don't like it when people use the term POC,
people of color.
because what it then does is it sort of balances, right? And you can't balance. It's like a band, right? So in order to hear the flutes, the baritones and the low brass need to come down a little bit, because if not, we won't be able to hear them. And so when it comes to equity, there does come a point where there are different needs, and the needs are not equal across the color spectrum.
Right.
Because what ends up happening is when it benefits Black, like when it's a Black issue, then it's POC, it's all of us, and we all stand in line for the equity. And I would argue that when it was specifically Black issues, that some would say that some of the Latino community were not there. And I would even go a step further and say that, there are times when we look at things like MWBE, minority and women-owned business enterprises, when we think about all those other things where being a minority, quote unquote, is the benefit, there's always some carve out that leaves us out, right? So I don't think necessarily that it's a lack of enthusiasm. I will say that I think, even when it comes in, we're going to talk about Tallarico in a minute.
Oh, Lord.
I do
you
think,
did it.
and this is just my personal opinion, I do think that there is a conversation that needs to be had about anti-Blackness. We just saw this
Yeah.
thing
Yes.
with this police officer. I have personally overheard things myself from people that I know and respect that didn't know that I heard or saw or read, right? And so until we have that conversation, then this will continue to be a thing.
And then I
Exactly,
want to
because
say this real quick, because I gotta start off with this 98%.
Yeah.
It comes at the end of the day at the polls. We know what's at stake. We don't, and I'm speaking as a Black person who's actively fighting against community issues, is that it's not just about Black issues. It's about brown. It's about Asian. It's about every other, because when they're coming for us, they're coming for everybody. And that's how at least most of us operate. And even when I was doing Capitol testimony, it wasn't just regarding Black issues. I was up there for immigration issues. I was up there because they were trying to make anybody in the state of Texas just a deputized, pretty much a deputized border agent, because they wanted to target people of color that they feel didn't belong here, like what ICE is doing essentially, but for Texas. So like it is just a conversation that we have to have as a community. Like, hey, we're here for y'all. I'm out, or at least especially in my case, I'm like, we're here for y'all. I think, but also in the Hispanic community, there is a lot of anti-blackness that we have to desperately address, and they also have to start voting like it's not just Black people by themselves, because that's at the end of the day, when we saw the 2024 elections, it felt like Black people were stuck on their own.
Well, it's like because everybody wants to be, for lack of a better phrase, the HNIC.
Well, I mean, I
even in the
it,
Hispanic community, everybody wants to be the HLIC.
If we look at it, Black women overwhelmingly supported Kamala Harris for president in 2024. Overwhelmingly, they were the number one group, right? And I think like after that were Black men and so on and so on and so on. And I've always found it fascinating, and it's a thing. I pointed to my ignorance or just not totally understanding it. Like, this is something that Trump said he would do.
Right.
He said it out loud. He said it at rallies. He put it in his pamphlets. And so I always I wondered why there's so much. For instance, you have Orlando Sanchez, who, I'm sorry, Orlando's you can get your phone. Orlando Sanchez right now. Now this is Darrell saying this, right? Carisha didn't say it, Brittany didn't say it, I didn't say it, but he has his phone in his purse. Orlando Sanchez is running for county judge, right? Like I don't understand the reconcile or the mental gymnastics, if you will, that allowed someone to vote for Trump, knowing that this was going to be the real. I think it's much worse than we thought it would be, but this was in Project 2025.
And like they're already making their new target people from the Middle Eastern. Like they have this whole anti-Sharia law at their recent convention, and it's absolute insanity to watch these people.
It's absolute
move.
Insanity.
It's just like, and then they have this such a back end, but it's all being moved by hatred.
Yes,
and that's why I'm like, we have to unite.
But the crazy thing is, how did the hatred get through the filter and get people like with family members, right, who are undocumented to vote for it?
That took the filter off.
Well, look at the history of America. Everything, and so we're taught in elementary school that the United States is a melting pot.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, apparently, white people don't think that. They think the United States belongs to them. Don't get me started on how, they stole our land and don't get me started about Black people. White people love to say, oh, people came here for the freedom. No, white people came here because they got kicked out of their own damn countries for their different religious styles, then came over here, forced it on the Native Americans, and people don't understand that white America has no, like, there was this song that Jill Scott did. She did y'all see that? She redid the national anthem.
Huh.
And I didn't know where to be proud or insulted. Proud because she spoke the truth.
Mm-hmm.
In that song, it was like heartbreaking because she's saying, in that song that America is the home of it's not the home of the free. It's not not for Black people, not for people of color.
See, we just did it. Put it all together. And I think that's where Black Lives Matter. A lot of people were like, well, all lives matter. And it's like, that is literally a rebuke of the former statement. Right?
Yeah.
And so I would say that there's a lot.
I like Tara Taylor. She says, yes, all life matters. All lives matter. But right now we're focusing on the Black ones.
There you go.
And also
That's
how
my
the police
favorite
have
quote.
essentially
I love
adopted
you, Tara
that flag
Taylor.
with the blue stripe. I can't trust anybody if I see one with that.
Right.
Oh my gosh.
But I think a lot of that comes from otherism,
Yes.
right? And so everybody others people. So whether it's your immigration status, whether it's your religious practices, whether it's, your accent or your skin color or whatever, everybody in some way wants to be superior to the next person, and so we other them. Even on immigration issues, a lot of people who have immigrated to this country look at Black Americans, and I'm talking about from the diaspora.
Yes.
I'm not even
Mhm.
talking about other countries. Why can't they pull themselves from the bootstraps? Why can't they work to get this? Why are, Black Americans this, that, and the third? And you'll get that from a lot of, people from the diaspora. They'll say these
Yeah.
things. They'll
Mhm.
other their own people, for
yeah.
lack of a better term. And so when we're othering each other, we just have a lot of infighting, and we
Yes.
can't unify.
Right.
Or even, people will look at Muslims, and people think, particularly in Fort Bend, Muslims are monolithic, and they are not.
Right.
Like, we have Muslims from Asia. Indonesia has the highest concentration, or one of the highest concentration of Muslims. You wouldn't think it, but it does, and it's not in the Middle East, right? And so we have a huge concentration of Muslims from the African diaspora.
Mhm.
And so they're not all from, South Asian countries. And so when we think about Muslims and we think about Sharia law, the incident that happened in Dallas,
Right.
that's a Black American imam whose
Mhm.
wife tried to put on a Eid event for the festival, and then the Abbott had the city of Grand Prairie cancel it.
Yeah.
Right?
Wow.
You're not
Yeah.
talking about people who immigrated. They
Mhm.
are as American as they come.
Right.
And so when we other people for different beliefs, we end up with this problem. Nobody sees the other person as their brother or their sister in whatever kind of unified bond that they have.
Mhm.
And now it's all, we're all fighting who's the most disenfranchised.
Right.
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 So nobody wins.
Absolutely. And I think, looking at what we were talking about earlier, we have a situation where that's the red meat that gets people paying attention. It doesn't have to make sense. There are people who are paid to do focus groups and to figure out what gets the most attention and what moves people the most. And so they found 2 or 3 different things. And so that's what they lean on, whether it makes sense or not, whether it's fair or not. And so
Right.
moving on, this weekend, State Representative Jolunda Jones, she goes by Joe, is hosting an event with HBAD, the Houston Black American Democrats, asking the real question, what do Black Texans actually need from a U.S. Senator? Now, first of all, let me say, I hope y'all don't just get to the Sunnyside Multi-Service Center and just get to hooting and hollering for 2 hours. That's what I want, right? Now, since it's Jolunda Jones and it's Boris Miles and it's a couple other people, I don't think that's what it will be. But what I will say, and this is me, right, that yes, right, Tallarico came to Mickey's Soul Food Cafe and got an oxtail plate the other day, right? Got to ask him what his sides were, right? And he also brought with him Representative
Reynolds.
Ron
Reynolds,
Reynolds,
yeah.
who's not from or representing 3rd Ward, right? That's the most city done. That's 0, not Big Mo, not Fat Pat, okay? You have to know your things, right? Tops drop,
He figured he qualified because he's
right?
black.
Trunks pop and the front end hop.
It's like, I'm at the
That's
cookout now, right,
3rd
y'all?
Ward.
Yeah,
I'm at the
exactly.
cookout.
Big
right?
Mo, I was at the club one night.
Ah.
That's when I saw Sapphire. She looked kind of throw to me. Kinda
She
throw,
looked kinda
yeah. She
throw,
was
yeah.
all up in my grill. Okay. Representative Ron, that's not what it came from. That is totally different. That's Willa Ridge. That's not Jack Yates. That's Christy McCullough, not Ryan. Know your places.
In all fairness,
Oh,
in all
Lord.
fairness, right? In all fairness, I will say Mickey Soul Food is right adjacent to the Fort Bend boundary. It is.
He
2
didn't go
hops
to
and
that one.
skips and jumps
They
away.
went to.
Oh, he
and
didn't
this
go
is
to
what
that
makes
one?
it even worse. This is what makes it even worse. For my black for 3rd Ward, I'm talking to you. One shot. He went to This Is It. That's what we know it as. It's This Is It. But Mickey Soul Food Cafe bought it.
Yeah.
And it's funny, it's insulting to read in the Chronicle that he went to this, what do they say, historic. So I'm like, they don't even know.
Yeah.
It was
Mm.
just a couple of months ago that they changed the name.
Mm.
And who was invited? Now, I will say this. I will vote for Tallarico, right?
Mhm.
Now, I was fired up about some Jasmine Crockett. Do you hear me?
Yes.
We
We all were.
Was
Mhm.
fired up. Okay. I would have gave her one of my kidneys to get her in office if she needed. If she called and she asked nicely. Now, Tallarico, you don't get the same treatment, right? It's almost like when an alumni goes back to their HBCU, right? You get different treatment, right? It may say that you got to stand in line, you got to get on the list. If you went there, if you were SGA president, if you were ... you don't have to follow those rules, right? So Tallarico, you're not invited to the cookout, right?
Ooh.
However, my auntie fixed you a plate, and that's got to be good enough. You'll still eat, and it's just as good the next day. And here's why. Now's the time where people who are grass tops, right? Grass tops are people who can pick up the phone and get 30 people in a room. That's about my strength. Right now, if there was something going on, I can get 30 people in a room tonight, right? Hey, I need you, right? Those people should be the ones that he should be reaching out to. I should have had an oxtail plate. Carisha should have had an oxtail plate. She lives in 3rd Ward, right? Kathy Bluford Daniels should have been there. Charlene Jones should have been there. Travis McGee should have been there. Larry McKenzie should have been there. Lloyd Ford should have been there. Al Lloyd should have been there. My aunt Aljanita Davis should have been there with a plate and a piece of lemon pound cake, right? Or sweet potato pie. I think she's a sweet potato pie lady, right? That is what it should look like. So here's my advice. Because then it's insulting. Because then you got Smokey, Jolanda, Boris, Carolyn. Didn't say hi, bye, cat, dog, nothing, right? So I think that's what kind of needs to go. And that was my rant, Carisha.
I mean, I want to point out, just yesterday, Gina Hinojosa held a town hall at the El Dorado Ball.
And it was open, and she sent out texts and invited people.
Very
She
open,
invited
social media,
Oh, yeah.
all the whole nine. And I think that's one of the key problems with the campaign as a whole, right? Is that they're trying to talk to like the chart says here kind of people instead of actually talking to people in the community. And Gina's out there doing it. Like that's what we've been asking for the longest from Tallarico's campaign is to one, have conversations, and two, like get ahead of the game. Because I think like the whole reason everything is such a mess right now is because Tallarico did not take the initiative to stop his base, who was being honestly very rabid.
Well, I would even point to the fact it's better if he just didn't do anything.
Yeah.
Because to come and now I'm scrolling through, it's actually insulting a little bit, right? Like it's like, oh, I actually got a text from Diane Iglehart yesterday, making sure that I was going to be at the El Dorado Ballroom. I did not go. I was chilling, but she's fired up. This is an event that was accessible to her, and you cannot pick your 2 or 3 chosen blacks
Right.
that share your posts and then say, I'm going to invite them, and then everyone will see. It's like, no.
It's frustrating.
It's frustrating. Well, we have a great opportunity. I really do want them to win. You know, they have a saying, don't call people out, call them in. Tallarico,
But
we're calling you in.
do you think Tallarico has the same Beto effect? I don't think so.
No.
I also have to
No.
ask Tallarico himself and his team, do they want to win? Because it feels like we want him to win because we sure as hell don't want Paxton.
Yeah.
But it feels like Tallarico is just missing every marker
you
that can help
ever-
him elevate.
Have you, Miss Tina was in the hospital. She was she had knee
Aw.
surgery. She's doing great now, by the way.
Okay.
But she wasn't really eating. And I looked at the tray and they had the little thing over that you lift up. And she was like, I'm not going to eat it. Do you want it? And I was like, hell no. I don't want any hospital food. And while Tallarico can put some sentences together, he's missing the charisma that it takes. The charisma is the lighter fluid. And I know people are all about this middle of the road BS. There's nothing in the middle of the road but roadkill. We tried this
Mhm.
with what's his name? Colin Allred. No
MJ
offense. MJ Hager. We don't even remember her. What'd she do after she went? And that's another thing. Some of these people, when you don't win, stay around. Come to some stuff. Become a sponsor. At least 2 things a year posted on share some posts. Where's MJ Hager? Didn't even use her real name, right? That's some DC consultant stuff that says we'll call her MJ,
I mean, I think that's
We'll
a bigger
call MJ.
conversation.
And
too,
she's got a
right?
tattoo. We'll put the thing. It'll be like Rosie the Riveter. Stop it! Ain't nobody doing that. Let's see who we got.
Does Tallarico have any black people on his team at all?
My understanding is too.
I will say this. See, I caught myself too. So Robert Naka works for MJ.
Tallarico.
Tallarico.
and reached out, and was like, hey, we're reaching out in earnest, But a week later, you're at Mickey Soul Food in my hood, 3 blocks or so away. And then I found out other people were actually invited. So there is a list, right? Apparently Smokey's not on it, Jolanda's not on it, you not on it. Brittany, were you on it? Were you
Surely
on it?
I was.
You didn't get a
I'm
text.
way in Fort Bend.
You were in Fort Bend. Charlene says, so was I. Aisha Wilson says, right. The people who can make things shake should have been at the table. We're really running out of daylight here. It is July, and in campaign talk, you really have, if you don't have your stuff together by September, right? Because that's when we get into like really GOTV, early voters around the corner, and you really, people have to be in line, and it doesn't feel like there's an election this year.
Yeah.
In my opinion, it feels like we were at a peak, and I'm not just saying that it just had to be Jasmine, but my cousin, Anthony, who doesn't care about, my brother came to her fundraiser that we hosted for her, right? And I'm not saying that in the same enthusiasm. And I'll say this about Gina. I think Gina's doing a great job, and Gina needs, we really need more people to help Gina.
Yes.
Because my litmus test, I call my mom, and I'm like, who's running for da-da-da? And she can tell me. Who's running for governor as a Democrat? She can tell me. There's several other people could not tell me, right? That is a problem. So hopefully, and I think it's a fundraising thing. You look at Gina Hinojosa's fundraising numbers, it does take a lot. Now, Tallarico has been able to raise money, but ask President Hillary Clinton about raising money and winning elections.
And I think the bigger conversation is starting to pop up too after the Grand Platinum situation. If you know, you know. But it is about consultants and how much influence they have on the political sphere, and also how much they actually care or don't care about winning. They just care about making the bag, and it's hurting us as a whole. And so I'm glad that this kind of situation is starting to get that conversation out there, because as someone who's been operating in this for a while, consultants have always been the problem, to be honest. And we need to be very on the lookout on who we choose as consultants for campaigns, because they need to be actually helping you win and not just helping you get a paycheck.
Because Texas is its own place. Like there are things that work elsewhere that do not work here, specifically places like Harris County. It's very cliquish, and you have to, like, you cannot go around the grass tops. I know it seems like a thing. Yes, lightning can strike, but you really do have to engage those that are influential. Your Charlene Jones, right? These are people that should be, and pay them.
Yeah,
you can.
Yeah, have passion, not a pie chart.
Yes, passion, not a pie chart. Put that on a shirt. Put that on a shirt. That is absolutely true. Any closing thoughts?
I think they cannot forsake Black women voters.
Yes.
We hold down the Democratic Party, bar none. And I think sometimes they give our vote as a given. I don't have to, court them. I don't have to give them a reason. They're going to vote Democrat because they did, and their grandma did, and the grandma before them did. And so they don't do enough to engage us, civically, or to vote for them specifically. If I'll just give you a quick anecdote. In my precinct 4 primary race, last time it was up for election 2022, you had about 8,000 people vote in precinct 4. They did redistricting. The precinct is probably a fourth of the size it used to be. But 17,000 people came out to vote in precinct 4. I think it's a Jasmine Crockett effect, hands down. People were excited. So in a precinct that's, 3/4 smaller than what it used to be, you had, almost double the voting electorate come out to vote because they were engaged, they were excited. And she did not take our vote for granted.
She did not.
She was in Mo City. She was out in Houston. She was out everywhere doing the work to be done. Whether you liked her or you didn't like her, she was doing the work.
Yes. I remember on the day that we held the fundraiser, she was supposed to be there by like 6 because we were going to do 6 to 7 with the VIPs. These are people who donated 1,000 or more, and then we're going to go upstairs for everybody else. So it is 4:45, 5ish. I'm getting dressed, and I'm scrolling Facebook, and I'm looking live at her in Waller County. So now my heart is beating because I'm like, did I mess up? Like, did I like put the wrong date or something? So I called my contact and I'm like, hey, are we still on? And she's like, yeah, we got lights. We've got lights. Don't worry about it. Lights means woo, right? And sure enough, she got there on time. And, you know, they pull up and everything. And she was like, just give me a moment. Give me a moment to, right? And she took her moment. She came in, she did her thing downstairs, and she needed one more moment. She knew herself, right? And then you kind of saw it when she got upstairs. It was like people were, right?
Yeah.
And it was like, wow, but she was doing it because she understood the responsibility that she had. And I do think that the Democratic Party is going to have to make amends. We saw this with Jasmine Crockett. We saw the exact same thing with Tracy Gibson. Right? Well, oh my gosh, Kamala Harris. There's this different treatment. When I was doing calls to raise money, there are people who I'm really side-eyeing now because y'all gave to Colin, okay, freely and willingly. And we're like, oh, I don't know. And the answers that they gave, well, I'm not sure. Like, you could just hear she's not a lawyer. She didn't run her own practice. She was not a public defender. She was not a state representative. She's not a current sitting member of Congress. Mm-hmm. What more does she have to do? And I think, you know, the more that becomes a thing, we're going to keep going in circles with these issues. I did the same thing with Dr. Johnson. You have any questions for any of us?
Oh, I do. Question. What are your plans to energize your base for this upcoming election?
Absolutely. So I run an organization called Houston Justice. We knocked on 2,500 doors by July 5th. We plan to do two more rounds of that. We have shirts that say Third Ward versus everybody. So I'm focusing on Third Ward. We do listening sessions every Thursday at 6 p.m. We just had 2 listening focus group sessions. We did one in 1960 North. We're doing another. We did another in Southwest Houston, and we're sharing that information with other nonprofit. Now that's on the nonprofit side. On the Darrell personal side, I have a list of people that I personally call and remind to vote. Now I look them up in Van, and I can tell if you voted or not. So when I call and I text, we know. I'm doing a fundraiser on September the 15th for Letitia Plummer. I got so much stuff because I went to Anise Parker's house for the podcast, and people were like, so now I'm voting, come on, right? So doing a fundraiser for her. Hopefully we raise a lot of money. So when you see my phone call. But no, I think even doing this, like, the reason why I mix in a little bit of spice, a little bit of razzle dazzle is because that is what makes people pay attention. Nobody wants to sit through, you know, a college course, right? Nobody wants PBS. You can get a little bit of tea, you can get a little cheese made, right? But we're also keeping you engaged, and we also have people like Dr. Aurelia Jackson, people like the Honorable. You should get that printed on your stuff. Let me tell you.
Once a judge, always a judge.
Listen,
yeah, pretty much.
There you go. And you have a bright future. You're so young, and you got a long way to. Oh my gosh, you're gonna do amazing things. And yeah, so that's my plan.
Well, my current plan right now is to keep people informed. During my general talks, and then, but when I'm not also working, I also have been going around interviewing nominated candidates and current elected candidates, kind of asking their opinion on why it matters to vote, because I really do want people to understand the importance of why it matters, and especially now more than ever. And you can check out my TikTok. It's Carisha for Texas. But yeah, it's just having this conversation with people because I want people to understand that this election is very consequential. If we do not change things this coming November, the consequences are great. Like we seeing what's going on, especially with redistricting around the nation. We're next, especially
Yes.
if we don't change anything in November.
Yes. Deacon Robert Williams says, I'd love to be on the committee for Letitia Plummer for Harris County Judge. That's a done deal. You on my list. Deacon Williams. Charlene Jones says, Justin Pearson, doing a fundraiser for him. So we talked before.
Who is that and what is
Justin
he running
Pearson
for?
is a state representative that's running for Congress in Tennessee. He's running for the 1st Congressional District. And we were going to do it before, but I told him nobody's going to do anything here before the runoff, the primary runoff.
Mhm.
So it was like after that, then we could do something here, and it'll actually make sense. But John Patterson says, I was on the volunteer team for Jasmine Crockett. Those of us who are involved with politics know that we support the primary winner. However, I will not be knocking doors or organizing for Justin Tallarico. The people are not excited about him and his supporters, and lack of interest in the Black community is the reason. How the kids do it? They do this, clock it,
That
Justin
age.
Patterson.
Another thing I want to point out is, why does everybody think that Jasmine needs to do a jig and do a dance to energize the base for Tallarico?
Yes.
What is her obligation to do it?
Yes.
She's publicly stated she supports the nominee.
Yes.
And you want her to give up her time, not go to the
Yes.
BET Awards that weekend or whatever she
Yes.
had planned,
Yes.
to be here, speaking at, the Democratic convention that was in
Right.
Corpus Christi,
Yeah.
when they didn't ask her till 3 weeks before.
Right.
Yeah.
It was
Which
a
is an
last minute
insult.
ask. It's
Which
a
is an
last minute ask.
insult.
And that thing, that little ad that we saw, didn't have nobody look like me, right?
Yep.
Nobody that could finish, good times. Nobody knew that. Nobody knew which floor Bruh Man stayed on, right? Nobody knew whether Tommy had a job or not. Nobody like that was on that flyer.
Yeah.
And that tells you everything that you need to know. And it cannot be an afterthought. And then, it's not transferable. Enthusiasm for her does not happen when she does it. Should have been another nominee. I'm just gonna say it. And here's the thing: he won. I'm gonna vote for him, and I hope the people that are as enthused as I was about her are enthused about him, and that they're out there doing block walks and they're doing fish fries and they're doing all the other stuff. They're doing back to school things and they doing podcasts. I don't listen. He gives me, when you get a new job at a call center. And the first day you fill out all the paperwork, and then they make you sit through that video, and they're like, "Welcome to Velcom. We're a family." The HR video. That's what James Tallarico gives me. The HR onboard, the sexual harassment video. That's what it gives. And I'm just being honest. The same way y'all didn't like the spice, the neck roll that was authentic about Jasmine Crockett, I don't like the way he sits too still. I don't like it. I don't like the way his voice is monotone. I don't like the way he talks like AI. I said it. Brittany didn't say it. Carisha didn't say it. Antonio didn't say it. And I would love if he were to do some Divine Nine stuff. I would be thrilled if it was like he's doing a Divine Nine fellowship where he's putting 20 Black students from Divine Nine organizations into a fellowship to do turnout in their hometowns and their current dormitories. I'd be like, you know what? Well, well, y'all, I've got in a little bit of trouble tonight. I'm pretty sure I'm going to get a couple of phone calls. We're 7 minutes over, so the time is ticking before they stop my contract here. Thank y'all so much for joining. Earlier we had Dr. Aurelia Johnson, who wrote the book Hacking Equity.
Hijacking.
What did I say?
Hacking.
Hacking equity. That's what we need to do. Hack equity and the fight for justice, a practical guide to language liberation and leadership in a time of fear. We had her earlier. We also have the Honorable Brittany Morris, who was almost the commissioner for Precinct 4 in Fort Bend County. We do have to get Dexter McCoy elected. So I will be doing some stuff down there too. We will do something down there in Fort Bend. To the one and only Carisha Rogers, co-chair of the Progressive Caucus of Houston. And lastly, to Antonio Maldonado. I try to roll my R's and do a little something, do a little jig, do a little something. And to you, as we do every week, thank y'all for joining. Thank y'all for liking. My mom, she's one of mine and my brother's greatest fans. She goes to all his band events and she's watching my podcast and doing stuff like that. As the great Jerry Springer said at the end of all of his broadcasts, take care of yourselves and each other. Good night.
See you next time.
Buenas noches.